Life gets hard sometimes, so grab your weighted blanket and let's talk about it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're here-ish.
We're here-ish. We're roundish.
Here-ish is, wait, roundish?
Roundish? We're roundish.
Around-ish?
Roundish.
Okay.
We're roundish, you see?
I'm not happy yet, but I'm less sad, which is nice.
That is a step. That is a step.
Yeah.
Doesn't happen overnight. Rome wasn't built in a day.
Indeed.
So, good.
How long did it take to build Rome? Doesn't matter. Hello, welcome to Weighted Blanket Happy Hour.
/ ancient history with Jackie
and Julia. It is dreary. I rode a bike here in the rain, and not only that, it's apparently supposed to, like, keep being fucking rainy for, like, a week.
Know.
And all I could think of was your fucking diary entry about, like, it's so rainy, it matches my soul.
It's comforting. It understands me.
And I was just like, don't laugh at that. But also, It's very good.
If you want some really good extra behind-the-scene content, you can go to my TikTok at Lady Skeggs. We recorded some live-action Julia reading her high school diaries to Jackie, and we quickly came to the conclusion that I should have been in therapy a lot earlier than I was.
It's just me making a bunch of faces and screaming at the patriarchy, which is like every video with me, so...
Yeah, our fan base is pretty used to that by now.
Yeah,
so.
You clearly are here for that, because otherwise you would not be here still. So.
Yeah. We are here for you and not here for the patriarchy.
Amen.
Someone cross-stitch that, please.
Here for you, not here for the patriarchy.
Just wanted to be really clear right now.
There's a bunch of things that I need to cross-stitch in pillows and or put on t-shirts, because... There's just too many good quotes. Mm-hmm. Okay, wait, we'll go into how was your week, but did I ever tell you how last year my birthday present from Rose was, I at one point screamed the sentence, "Thank you for not queer baiting," and she put that quote on a t-shirt.
Yes, I know this. It never gets old, though.
It so good. Gets old. Honestly, she has not given me my birthday present for this year yet, and I kind of hope she did the same thing.
Oh, I am anxiously waiting.
Me too.
Can't wait.
How was your week? How you doing?
Dude. So I have a sneaky suspicion. So when I was a binge eater, when I was an emotional eater, it was just a way that my anxiety it was a way for the anxiety to channel itself. Mm-hmm. And now that I'm doing intuitive eating and, I'm not relying on food to avoid my anxiety or depression or whatever it is that's still hiding underneath the surface, it has come out very loudly through shopping and overscheduling myself. I keep thinking to myself, I am so exhausted. I am so, behind on my spendings. What has happened to me, and it is my anxiety is like, hey, remember me, bitch?
That's very real, because I had something similar happen when I quit smoking, not cigarettes, but the Mary Jane.
Oh, yes.
I was like, hey, you idiot, you're a soprano, you can't do this anymore. So I quit, obviously, but it was my thing that kept the demons at bay. Mm-hmm. So when that went away, then I started drinking. I don't even like drinking. And I just was drinking every day. And then eventually I was like, you need to stop this too. Yeah. So I stopped doing that, and then I didn't have anything. And then I was super depressed all of 2019.
Yeah, I remember when I gave up drinking for Lent. I do Lent not for religious reasons, but just because it's, a good personal challenge to see what would happen if you gave up coffee or, alcohol.
For sure.
I gave it up. It was so hard.
Yeah.
And I was not expecting it to, because I'm more of a social drinker. I enjoy alcohol. I think it was because, my background being a bartender and having to understand the history and the craft behind drinks. But maybe it was because I was working in the hotel industry and I would get invited to these events all the times. And, even though I was present, I didn't feel like I was fully partaking because I wasn't drinking. Mm-hmm. And also it annoys me too when I can't partake in something that's free.
Amen to that. Mm. Not having alcohol is one thing. Not having free alcohol is another thing entirely.
It's a huge tragedy, for sure.
Well, and there is something to be said about, the psychology of, oh, now I can't have it. That makes me want it more, even if I didn't normally want it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's very much a thing. I tried to quit drinking drinking kind of just to see if I could. And I was like, it won't be hard because I don't really like drinking. But then like just the knowledge that I couldn't have a White Claw if I wanted one really annoyed me. So reverse psychology is a real thing, man.
No, one of my favorite podcasts, Unfuck Your Brain, like she has an episode about how like restriction causes rebellion.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a real thing.
I think that it was partially that and partially like I didn't realize how much I was depending on alcohol as a quote unquote social lubricant for myself. And I was so grumpy and just like pissed off. Like I was like, is this withdrawal? Am I going through withdrawal right now? A little bit.
Little tiny bit. But yeah, no, and like you were telling me earlier about your Wellbutrin, and now I'm starting to wonder if, like, I don't know how it happened, but like I drank 5 days in a row. Last week. It was just one of those social weeks. Sure. And I've been so anxious this week, and I'm wondering if the alcohol is counteracting the Zoloft. No, that's a real thing. I was telling you off mic earlier, like you can drink a little bit on Wellbutrin. You're not supposed to drink a lot because when you drink a lot, it can cause seizures. And I was like, well, I'm not going to argue with that. But my psychiatrist was like, oh, you can have a drink. But I've done it twice now, and I've noticed that like the next day, it's as if I didn't take the pill. Yeah. And I had I got so frustrated at myself today because like I just wanted to like do work and like do outside of day job work and like be productive and maybe do something fun. I've been writing a lot lately. I've been like writing more stand-up, and I'm like, I want to work on my stand-up today. And I couldn't do jack like all day. And I was just like, internal screaming. It sucked. Yeah, no, like the other day I got so behind on my chores and work was just like chomping at the bit. And I felt like I was frozen. Like I couldn't pick the first thing to do or like focus on the task at hand. And I'm never like that unless I'm really anxious about something. And, you know, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have anything going on in my life right now that should be causing that anxiety. Oh, yeah. So I have a sneaky suspicion that it's alcohol and I'm very cautious about my relationship with alcohol, you know, with family history and everything. And I got invited to audition for this show that's coming back in town. Fun. Drunken Shakespeare. Oh, Have you heard about this? I know of Drunken Shakespeare, yes. Yeah, so it's like a small cast, and one person each night has to take like 6 shots before the show and do it. And I'm like, oh, that actually sounds like a lot of fun. And then I was like, No. See, I read that and I was like, I have an email, but like I legitimately want to ask them, does it have to be 6 shots? Because if you give me 6 shots, I will throw up. Yeah. I'm extremely sensitive to alcohol. You know, like when I was, you know, bartending and serving and doing shows, like it was a completely different lifestyle that only the liver of a 20-something can handle. Yeah, you know what I mean? See, I am 28, but I am also simultaneously 58. If I don't get enough sleep, I feel like I have the flu, like straight up, and people are like, oh, you're being dramatic. And I'm like, no, I physically ache right now. Yeah. I have 2 glasses of wine and I'm hungover the next day, and people are like, that's not supposed to be true until you're like at least 30. And I'm just like, it's been true since I was 19. Yep, and yet here we are. My therapist thinks something's wrong with my endocrine system, but we'll get tested for that later. Oh, man. But all of this to say that you've been taking advantage of Amazon deals and doing a lot of calendar invites this week, and that's been your anxiety? If anything, at least my cats are benefiting from Amazon Prime. Well, that's nice. You know, someone's happy. Yeah. Listen, if the cats are happy, then I'm happy. That's how life is. That's how that has to go. Yes. So, yeah, and I purchased like 7 different swimsuits off of Kohl's because one of them has to fit my big bubble butt. One of them has to, like, I'm literally going to like find one and then return the other 6 and just be like, nope, don't need them. This is not sponsored or product placement whatsoever, but have you tried Fashion Nova? I have not. I haven't heard of that one. Oh, it's the brand that Cardi B made famous a few years ago. And it's like specifically clothing that's for like hourglass figure women. Oh, that's me. Yeah, so it's like, it's the only place I can buy pants from. because it's the only pair of pants that will fit my waist and my butt at the same time. And I have a swimsuit from there and I really like it. So I suggest.
I will look into it. You heard it here, folks.
You heard it here, folks. If you got a giant dump truck ass, then just go to Fashion Nova.
Let Fashion Nova take care of you.
Yes. Please sponsor us.
Oh, speaking of sponsors, should we go into that ad thing?
Sure.
So I'm very excited to say that we have our first fan mail.
What?
Which is very excited. Y'all, write into us anytime. We love to hear from you. WeightedBlanketHappyHour@gmail.com, or just slide into the DMs.
To the GM.
To the GM. Slide into the general manager.
I was going to say slide into the game master.
Start a scandal. Start a game. I don't know. Have fun with it.
Absolutely.
We wanted to read this a bit though, because I know that a lot of us have been there, done that. Mm-hmm. A lot of my diagnosed anxiety and OCD stems from mommy issues and growing up in a severe Catholic environment. Girl, same.
Severely Catholic. Not just moderately, but severely.
Severe. One of my more recent episodes was in 2018 and lasted for most of the year. Long story short, I had a pregnancy scare that spring, but had an OCD spiral about being pregnant when I actually wasn't. After 5 negative pregnancy tests and nearly developing an eating disorder, I emerged out of my manic OCD episode stronger and better than before.
So it was like a mental problem that dominoed into another mental problem. It was like, I'm having anxiety, and then the OCD took over, and then I had an eating disorder, and I don't really know how that happened, but now I'm okay.
I think I still have, even though, I'm on birth control, I still have, pregnancy tests in my linen closet, just in case. Mm-hmm. Just in case I need a little extra security. But I've been there before where it was I am 3 days late and I am definitely pregnant.
I'm having a lot of procrastination anxiety about that exact subject, because I found out I cannot be on hormonal birth control because my body's just stupid sensitive. Hence my earlier discussion about sleeping and alcohol. And I can't be on birth control, and there's no other good options. And I'm well, maybe I can be gay.
Answer to everything.
Answer to everything is be gay.
I am happy to say that I am now in a healthy, non-monogamous relationship. You go, girl. And my sex life is better and happier than ever thanks to years of cognitive behavioral therapy.
Woohoo!
Woohoo! Whatever works. Thank you for helping me unwind and laugh each week with this podcast.
Thank you, Anonymous. This person has chosen to remain anonymous, but thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you.
So yeah, send us fan mail. Tell us about your anxiety journey. Tell us about how your mental health is. Is it shitty? We probably can't give sound advice, but we can commiserate and empathize.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're not doctors, but, we've all been there, done that, so.
What is it? What's the Megan Thee Stallion song? I'm not a patient, but I let him treat me.
All right.
I'm so dumb. I'm very tired and on my ADHD bullshit today, so my brain is referencing everything.
Is that ADHD?
Oh, yeah, no, okay, I'm not 100% sure if that's ADHD, but I think it is, because, do you ever do this? Do you ever do the thing where, you hear something and your brain just relates it to some other random thing by, a 5-step process that makes no sense at all?
Is that not normal? Wait, no, do other people not do that?
I'm not 100% right in about that. Do you do that? No.
Do you do that? I thought that was just, my anxiety making me work, 5 steps ahead of itself.
Maybe. I can't, what's an example? And of course now I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's if someone says a word, I'll remember that word from a line in a movie that I saw 10 years ago.
I do this thing where someone will say something and I'll quote a movie, and either people will know it or they won't know it, or they'll be why are you bringing this up right now? This is very inappropriate that you're bringing this up right now. And I'm no, but it relates, right? Can't you see in the inside of my brain and how it works?
Maybe you have ADHD.
It's funny that you say that, because since I started down the rabbit hole of TikTok, my For You page keeps popping up videos about ADHD. And I'm just does TikTok think that I have ADHD? do I have ADHD?
Oh no. And
I even just brought it up to JC the other day in the car, and I was like, wasn't that weird? And he's like, well, you probably do. And I'm like, excuse me?
I mean, he works with teenagers. He may or may not know.
He's like, yeah, haven't you noticed, when you do this thing, and sometimes, you do that thing, and then your mind makes you do this thing, and you can't be present, and you're always, thinking ahead, and you're ready to move on to the next thing? And I'm like, do other people not do that? And he was like, no, sweetie, no.
I mean, do you have a hard time initiating tasks, or, you get lost in, hyperfocus, where you're like, I need to finish this thing before I do literally anything, including eat or pee?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually, I do.
Oh, okay. So now what we're going to do with this episode is I'm going to go online. Okay, wait. Stop. Pause disclaimer. We are not psychologists. If you think you have a mental problem, you need to talk to a mental problem, a different neurotype, a mental illness. Please talk to a licensed psychologist and say, hello, the internet made me think I have this thing. Could we talk about that? Do that. Don't do what we're about to do right now, which is I'm about to Google, do I have ADHD test? And we're going to make Julia take a test.
Is this happening right now?
This is happening right this moment.
All right, here we go. I'm so glad I'm with the expert, because I wouldn't even know where to begin.
Well, because I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast, but the way I got diagnosed with ADHD was I was in therapy 4 years ago now, and I was telling my therapist how I just have such a hard time with procrastination, and I wait until the adrenaline kicks in and I panic, and then I do everything at the last second, and it's so frustrating. I've tried so hard to fix it. And she just looked at me and she was like, have you ever been formally diagnosed with ADHD? And it was the word formally that communicated to me this isn't a question of if, it's a question of do you know? So ever since then, of course, I hyper-focused on it because duh. And
what else are you supposed to do with that kind of information?
I have done a bunch of research on it. Anyway, but one of the tests I took is this one I'm going to make you take right now. I think you can reach the computer fine from there.
No, you do it.
Oh, okay.
Read the questions. I'm going to sit back here. I'm going to sit here.
You're going to sit close to the mic.
Sit close to the mic.
Good mic technique.
So I can answer it honestly.
Yes, we're going to do that. And we are looking at the one from AdditudeMag.com, which is one of the first ones that pops up. Okay, first question. This will be content, absolutely. Okay, first question. How often do you have difficulty concentrating on what people say to you, even when they are speaking to you directly? And then it's a scale of very often to never, which I think most of these are.
Sometimes.
Okay. That is the middle answer. It's not a sliding scale, but it's sliding scale type thing of 5. Mm-hmm. How often do you leave your seat in meetings and or other situations in which you are expected to remain seated?
Oh, never.
Yeah, that's not a thing for me either. Some ADHDers get really physically restless, and I'm like, no, I want to lie down all the time.
Yeah, I feel that.
How often do you have difficulty unwinding and relaxing when you have time to yourself?
Oh, I don't know. Very often.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know the answer to this one. Okay. When you're in a conversation, how often do you find yourself finishing the sentences of people you are talking to?
Very often.
I have a huge problem with this, and I do it all the time, and I notice that people get about it, and I'm like, gosh darn it, stop doing that.
Surprisingly enough, people don't like when you finish their sentences for them.
Oh my gosh, it's, ugh. Okay, how often do you put things off until the last minute?
Often.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I do that all the time, and it's bad. How often do you depend on others to keep your life in order and attend to details?
I do this thing where I ask people to help me, hey, can you make sure that I remember my purse when we leave the table? Can you make sure that I feel have my
that's
phone
kind of normal though
on me? So maybe rarely.
We'll put that as rarely.
We'll put that as a rarely.
This one speaks to me very personally because I have been living in what's basically a QPR with Rose for the past 7 years because she's a mom friend. Mm. And I'm like, can you calendar my life? I'll follow you. And it's been working. I just provide entertainment. No, we would not like to receive emails. No, that's it. So this was just a short, easy one, and it says you scored a 14 out of 24.
That's more than half.
Well, it doesn't say. It doesn't say whether that means you have ADHD or not.
What does that mean?
Well, you scored a 14 out of 24.
That's pretty...
It just says the higher the point total, the greater the likelihood that you show signs of ADHD. So, the internet says maybe.
Well, I might need to schedule a small appointment with my psychiatrist.
I mean, so ADHD is a I don't like using the word spectrum because similarly to how spectrum doesn't describe autism exactly correctly, because people think of the word spectrum and they think of like a scale of like you're more ADHD, you are less ADHD, you are more autistic, you are less autistic. And it's not like that. The best way it was explained to me was through the internet. This was about autism specifically, but I think it also applies kind of to ADHD, is that it's a pie chart of symptoms, and you can have like more of one symptom or like less of another symptom. So like for ADHD, it's like you can have a bigger problem with like anxiety and depression, which are comorbidities very often, and you can have less of a problem with restlessness, or you can have more of a problem with actual attention and like less of a problem with hyperactivity, like stuff like that. So I'm not at the 100% like I love my ADHD like part of my life, but I'm just like, well, it's not changing. It's just what my brain is. I discovered, I'm going to say one more fun fact and then I'm going to let you talk because I've been talking for like 5 minutes.
No, this is all very fascinating and strangely applicable to my life.
ADHD is the result of a smaller than average amygdala, which is the front part of your brain that has to do with beginning tasks, making decisions, and attention. So it's literally a physical brain difference. So anytime someone tells you just fucking pay attention and get organized, you can say fuck you, because that's literally not what this is.
Yeah, I'm starting, because like I'm a very restless person. Like I can sit, but my mind is literally going like 100 miles. Like I'll be working out and be like, okay, as soon as I get home, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Damn it, I forgot to do this thing this morning. Well, now I have to do this. Oh no, now like my afternoon is busier than I thought that it was going to be, when I should be in corpse pose in yoga.
Wait, which one is corpse pose?
It's when you're lying and you're not doing anything. That's the whole point of it. I don't pay a $65 membership a month to keep running after my anxious brain.
Well, and the thing that makes it hard to diagnose is that there are so many overlapping symptoms with anxiety itself, while anxiety is also a comorbidity. And also there are a lot of overlapping symptoms with bipolar disorder. Like, when I was getting my ADHD diagnosed, people kept asking me, like, well, are you sure you're not bipolar? And I'm like, no, I know that I'm not. I've done research prior, because of course I did. And, like, I was like, I know it's not bipolar because I don't have mania. And, like, low-key, if I had mania, at least I'd be productive sometimes. Although, like, mania doesn't sound fun. I don't envy it. But I was just like, I know it's not bipolar. But because there are so many overlapping symptoms, it can be kind of dicey. It's like, well, do I have ADHD? Or are these just anxiety symptoms? Like, I don't know. So the official recommendation is talk to your therapist or other licensed doctor about it. Yeah. And don't just go on Adderall for fun, because I did, well, not for fun. I spent, as an ADHDer, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get the Adderall. And then I got on the Adderall and it was a bad experience for me personally.
It was a bad time.
It was a bad time.
And I mean, like, I'm not like worried. Like, I don't think there's anything like morally wrong with having ADHD. Like, yeah. Like, it's not a bad thing to have. But like, it's like, if I have this thing that's been like undiagnosed for years, I should probably do something about it.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay, and you want to know what it's time for? Huh. It's time for our feminist rant of the episode.
Yay! I'm so glad we got one in. I'm starting to worry there for a moment.
It's time for our feminist rant of the episode because...
Take it away, Jackie. I'm gonna drink some water.
People like to talk about ADHD like it's overdiagnosed. And indeed, I agree that we probably shouldn't be putting so many kids on drugs because they can't pay attention in class. Like, they're fucking 7-year-olds. Of course they can't pay attention. And school is frankly not structured to support a growing brain.
It's very boring.
It's boring and stupid, and it doesn't make any sense.
It's very stressful.
But people are like, oh, ADHD is so overdiagnosed. ADHD is actually criminally underdiagnosed in little girls.
Shocking.
Because people think of kids with ADHD, little girls and also, like, kids of color and, like, kids in lower income schools that don't necessarily, like, have the resources and, like, teacher training to, like, diagnose that shit. Yeah. So it's like, who gets diagnosed with ADHD the most? Little suburban white boys who are running around the classroom making a muck. And it's like, yeah, those kids probably have ADHD, but you want to know who else has ADHD? The little redhead staring out the window singing, parroting back, like, whatever the teacher just said, but not actually paying attention.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I was, like, thinking, well, I know my brother had it. My mom definitely has it undiagnosed. I'm like, yeah, but it couldn't possibly be, like, I just can't concentrate. I just having, oh no. Oh no. Is it me? Is it me?
I feel that. This is a little esoteric. I didn't really truly understand what paying attention meant until high school, because my default mode in school was to zone out. But I was a smart kid, so I could, like, just play catch up and, like, figure it out.
Yep, same.
And it was fine. And then, like, I remember being in high school and, like, we had, like, a lecture-based class. So you actually, like, this was, like, for history, and this was just the way the teacher liked to teach it. And I would sit there and be like, pay attention to what he's saying. And, like, I would pay attention for a second, and then my brain would go, static, 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 static. And I would be like, pay attention. And I would keep pulling myself in and get pulled back out.
Yeah.
And, like, I didn't have any resources, didn't understand that was ADHD, but, like, I was like, oh, this is what paying attention is. That's hard. Why is that so hard?
Yeah, I would have to sit in, like, the front of my theater history class, which, believe it or not, was, like, one of the hardest classes I ever had to take.
It's a lot of dates.
Thank you, Peter Davis. Yeah, and it has a lot to do with shocking, like, history.
Mm-hmm.
So I would have to sit in the front of the class. I would have to, like, be recording his lectures while I was, like, basically typing every word that was coming out of his mouth. It was the only way that I could stay, like, present and alert for those 2 hours. And I just thought that that's what being a good student meant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's good that you found those workarounds, because, I mean, I certainly didn't. A lot of kids grow up with the notion that they're underachievers.
Right.
Because they, like, you know, aren't doing as well when it comes to paying attention in class. And, or you're like me, where you're like, well, I can just figure it out. And then you reach adulthood and you realize that that's not a fucking thing.
Nope. Yeah, those important skills, like learning how to, like, tune in and actually have a conversation, not just waiting for when you have an opportunity to say something afterwards.
That's so real. That, like, there's a John Mulaney joke about it. See, my brain relating things to things. There's a John Mulaney joke about it where he's just like, yeah, I was talking to some dude and I was waiting for it to be my turn to talk. And I'm like, that's my adolescence.
Yep.
That was what I did.
Yep.
And it can be hard on interpersonal relationships.
Yep.
Because it's just like, you just want to talk to the person, but you're just thinking about whatever interesting thing you are into this week.
Right. Like, how can I tie this conversation back into, like, what I actually want to talk about?
Exactly. That's a very real thing. So yeah, it's weird because it affects your life in so many little ways. Mm-hmm. And if no one had told me, I probably wouldn't have figured it out. And I have older friends who I'm like, I know this because someone told me, and I see it in you, but also I'm not a psychologist. I'm not going to go tell someone who's lived their entire life that they have ADHD.
Like, I appreciate that. Thank you.
I'm just like, I don't need to walk up to my friends and be like, hey, you have ADHD. Like, that's not a thing.
Well, you wouldn't walk up to someone and be like, hey, you have depression.
Just like, hey, do you know that you're a depressed ass bitch? Honestly, I kind of wish someone had done that to me earlier.
Same.
Well, admittedly, my therapist tried, and I said no.
You're just like, thank you, not today.
I don't want to acknowledge those feelings right now.
It's just not a part of my journey.
I'm gonna go have very unhealthy sex. Instead.
Also, I'm not a doctor, but I wouldn't recommend that.
I wouldn't recommend that.
Yeah.
If you knew me in 2018, you knew traumatized me. I'm sorry.
Ooh, yes, I love that. Yes, you only know the traumatized version of me. I'm also getting, like, a lot better at, like, letting go of my past, or rather, because, like, I keep, like, thinking like, man, if I just like had started going to therapy earlier, if I just started like working on myself earlier, like think about like what I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no such thing.
Yeah.
Like the past is the past. It's as far away as ancient Rome was.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, I have no power over the tools that I had back then.
That's very real.
Because like in my head, like growing up when I was living under my parents' insurance, the story was that therapy was expensive and it just wasn't worth it. And then I became an adult and I got my own insurance and it was like, well, might as well find out. You know how much money therapy has saved me?
I believe it.
From it?
Yeah.
Like health complications, unnecessary sex, bad spending habits. I mean, that stuff still pops up here and there, but probably nowhere near as frequently if I hadn't started treating it when I did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like you have to be grateful, and my voice teacher tells me this all the time, and I think we talked about it a little. You just got to be grateful that you got there.
Yeah.
Because it's like some people never get there.
Yep.
Some people live their entire lives with like miserable complications, and everyone keeps trying to gently suggest that they have issues that they should address, and they just don't.
Yeah. I tried. My mom is a hardcore Weight Watchers member. Like, she is so proud of her points and staying in her weight range or whatever. And, you know, I tried talking to her about intuitive eating and it just was like talking to a brick wall. I was just like, just be open to this idea that like food isn't good or bad. Because again, it's all about that restrictive thinking. Mm-hmm. Like, if I can't have this, then that's all that I'm going to want.
Yeah. Well, and she's lived with that. I mean, I don't know about your mother's relationship with food, but like, you know, making a generalization here, I'm sure she's lived with those mentalities for decades now. And like, the longer you live with that shit, the harder it is to let it go because it's been your life.
I think what really ate at me,
see what I
did there? But I think what really like got that spiral from my emotional eating was the shame that came with it, right? Because if I'm eating something that's bad, then that means that I'm lazy. I have no discipline. I'm letting myself down. I'm letting my mom down, who's the one that's paying for this diet meal plan or whatever. And that shame just multiplies upon itself. Mm-hmm. And your brain goes, hey, you know what would make you feel really good? Cake, an entire carton of cupcakes. Like, just don't stop eating until you can't feel anything anymore.
That's very much a coping mechanism. I was very fascinated because, I mean, like, you know, binge eating disorder kind of like falls half under the umbrella of addiction. Yeah. Correct? Yeah. So like, or I guess fully under the umbrella, because it's like it's a disorder, it's also an addiction, it's multiple things. Anywho, but like addictions are behaviors that you do to shut out trauma and bad mental things. Mm-hmm. And like, people don't like to think about it like that. Yeah. And it's worse, it can be harder to deal with them if you are not neurotypical, because like, oh, that was the cat. Anyway, distraction, ADHD. It can be harder to deal with things like, you know, compulsion disorders or addictions when you have a not neurotypical brain, because you have worse impulse control than a normal person. Yeah, that was my life, especially when you're a teenager and you just like, everything around you is telling you that you suck. Yeah. From your peers to your teachers to what you see in magazines, and then your brain, like, you have one job, and that's to only eat fruits and vegetables all week, and then you don't do it because that's not how human bodies are built. Yeah, no. Well, and feminism rant number 2. Ooh. It, like, I don't want to trash, like, the beauty industry. Like, I think the beauty industry is fine, but it does extremely bother me that, like, still today in 2021, in the 2020s, like, we as women are raised with the notion that our value comes from our appearance. Mm-hmm. And it has always bothered the snot out of me because, like, particularly, I grew up with parents who placed value upon achievement, which is not necessarily better because I now have, like, a crippling fear of failure that makes me not want to do anything. But the result of it was I am now a person who's a little like laissez-faire about my appearance, which can be kind of nice because I don't look in the mirror and hate myself at the very least.
Yeah.
But that's what so many women experience, and we train them to do it, and we train them to just think for like hours a day about what they look like. Oh, I need to put on more makeup. I need to make sure my dress is okay. I need to like do my hair. And it's just like, ooh, it bothers the absolute snot out of me because sometimes beauty can be constructive for adults, for adult females and others who like just take pride in the art of it. That's great. But every moment that someone spends thinking about their appearance is a moment that they could be spent thinking about something more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it bothers me every day of my life.
Yeah. No, again, like one of the things of like, man, if I hadn't gotten in my head this version of myself that I was supposed to be, like, what could I have accomplished with that energy? Mm-hmm. I see like makeup and like clothes now as like a way of expressing myself, not as a way for like to get compliments or to get approval for people. But
yeah.
like I enjoy, if I put on makeup and do my hair, it is first and foremost for myself.
Legitimate.
For no one else. But I love me some yoga pants days. Mm-hmm. I love me some messy hair bun days. Like, I love going to the grocery store and not wearing a stitch of makeup.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, at the end of the day, like, one thing that I do wish that we would, like, it's kind of like what you were talking about. It's not that you don't care. You just feel neutral about your body because you understand that there's so much more to Jackie as a person than your genetics.
Yes.
That you have no control over whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I'm working on looking at myself in the mirror, looking at parts of my body that, would upset me when I was younger, like my cellulite, my stretch marks, my strange body proportions for a white girl, and just saying it's just a body. Yeah. It's just a vessel to carry my brain from one room to another. It's just flesh that keeps my vital organs safe. That is all that it is. Mm-hmm. And I have noticed since I started to do this that when I get catcalls or I notice that guys on the street are checking me out, I don't care anymore. You know how nice that is?
Yeah. Because I mean, it's their problem, frankly.
Exactly.
It's just like, okay, whatever.
Like, this is just a mound of flesh. This is just a mound of decaying flesh.
This is just my meat suit that I wear every day.
That's all that it is. And yeah, it's this weird, like we were raised to be like you're beautiful no matter what size you are, like love and cherish your body, and
which is like, that's a good attitude,
that's
but
nice.
But it's also like, you don't have to care so much. Like, your value as a human, this is for everybody, your value as a human extends way past what the fuck you look like. Like, if you make yourself sick every day worrying about what you look like, there are other things that you can focus on, and I wish that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Like therapy.
Like therapy.
Therapy. Or cats. So many choices.
There's so many things.
There's just so much more to life than being a size 6. Like, I am finally now letting go of the idea that I need, that I have, that I positively am required as like a good person to be under 170 pounds.
You're 5'10". 170 pounds is completely normal for that height.
Yes. I thank you for that. But I have years and years of toxic visual guides and people and even the fucking BMR chart, which isn't which can't be used on women because it was used on men. BMI, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know how to restart that, but I'm like, oh my God, edit this and make me sound smart, Jackie. But you know what I mean?
The BMI chart was developed to take the weight range of populations. It was never intended to be used on an individual basis. I think it was the French fucking us over again. But also, yes, it was intended for men and women and people with X chromosomes, etc. Well, double X chromosomes, everybody has an X chromosome. But people with estrogen in their bodies carry a little more fat on them because that's what that is. Everybody has estrogen. God dang it. I need to figure out a better way to say that.
You're doing great, sweetie.
I'm trying to include non-binary people.
You're doing great, sweetie. They appreciate it.
I appreciate you, non-binary people.
We do.
Anyway.
We do.
BMI means nothing. Weight is a number. Not... I don't know how we got here from ADHD, but that's ADHD. Oh,
that's it. That's the episode.
Send tweet.
How about to close off? We do some diary readings because we didn't do that the last podcast.
Yes. Okay. So,
hold on a second. I'm gonna.
Yeah. So for context, what is happening now is the other week on Instagram as a fun thing, or I guess you did it on TikTok too.
Sure did.
Julia thought it would be a fun idea to read some of her old diary entries from like middle high school, yeah?
Yeah, we thought it would be fun, and then it quickly got sad very quickly.
Because it was very apparent from some of these entries that little Julia needed therapy, but it's okay because big Julia got there.
We did.
And I'm proud of her. But these are fucking buck wild, y'all. So, like, let's tune on in and listen to young Julia. Please state age and year or something.
These are from when I was 15.
Okay. A terrible, terrible age.
This was freshman year.
Mm-hmm.
Then some of them are from summer, between freshman and sophomore year, and then sophomore year.
Okay. So, I love it. Let's do it.
All right. Okay. Guess what? Paul opens doors for girls. Paul was this guy.
Oh, Paul! Who's Paul?
Listen, he played piano. He had the voice of an angel, and he was a total sweetie. And
so he was probably gay, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No. I had the hugest crush, most painstakingly crush on him. I bumped into him before school, and we talked a lot. He loves volleyball, and he's really tired from the volleyball tryouts. Did I mention that he has green eyes? They look brown at first, but they have a hint of green in them. Okay, no guy has ever held a door open for me. Okay, maybe one or two of my guy friends have, but it was never a guy who I liked. Because that makes a difference.
Because that does when you're that age. It makes a difference.
Oh, here we go. Although he didn't see me during passing period, he just walked right by me. It means either A, he just didn't see me, deep in thought. B, he's figured me out and is disgusted. C, he likes me too and being the shy guy, he didn't look. I pray it's either A or B.
I'm sorry, he's figured you out and is what does that mean?
Apparently, I had it in my mind that it was embarrassing to like someone.
It is.
I was ashamed. Whenever I realized that I had a crush on someone and I didn't know how they felt, I was immediately ashamed and anxious and worried about it because I always assumed the worst.
Oh, I still do that.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, so no, I would like to point out that, like, we started out with that, and I was like, see, this is just a normal 15-year-old girl diary entry, and then you got to, like, I think I'm analyzing why he didn't notice me in the hallway, and I'm like, there it is, there's the therapy.
There she is. We knew she'd come out eventually. All right, here we go. Oh, this is great for our theme for today. I feel like a big piece of fat crap.
Oh.
Really fat. I gained 6 pounds overnight. This cannot be healthy. I don't know how, but I am going to lose 15 pounds. It's the last thing I do. I plan on eating healthier. No sweets except for pudding and Rice Krispies on the weekend.
Why those?
I don't know, man. Workout 5 times a week, 3 times aerobics, 3 abs and ass strengthenings. I am sick of lying to myself every day, convincing myself I am skinny and it's okay to eat sweets. It's always okay to eat sweets.
Oh, that's so sad.
I'm sick of the ball on my ass. I'm sick of it. It's going. I'm losing 5 pounds by the end of the month.
What does that mean?
I wanted to lose 5 pounds by
ball. Just that your ass is round. I'm sorry, you were mad that your ass is round.
I mean, I grew up with Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie as everyone trying to maintain their aesthetic. Can you blame me?
You know what? That's completely fair. That was the thing at the time.
Mm-hmm. The only good thing today was that I finally talked with Paul. It's a miracle.
Aw, Paul. We hope you're doing well, Paul.
He's doing great, actually.
Oh, that's good.
I totally stalked him the other day. He's doing fine. Doesn't need me. Here I am, bawling my heart out, and where is he? There's nobody except my pathetic self, and there's my answer. I'm alone, because if he had an ounce of affection for me, I wouldn't be here, would I?
This is so 15-year-old girl when you are convinced that, like, no one will never ever love me. I'll never get married. And it's like, honey,
you are 15 years old.
You are 15. Down. Sit the fuck down.
Go finish your algebra homework and put your retainer in. It's gonna be okay.
It's so true. I remember, anecdote. I remember when I was 15, I was so ashamed that I haven't kissed a boy yet. And like, no one's ever asked me on a date. And I was just like, I'm interesting. Like, what's wrong? And like, I remember my first kiss was a stage kiss.
Oh no.
Because we were doing Barefoot in the Park and I was playing Corey and the dude playing Paul was this dude, and we did like not like each other, but like we had to like do a dip kiss, and I remember we did it, and it was in rehearsal, but we did the thing, and I broke character and said, "Oh, you taste like cigarettes," and that was my first kiss.
And now she's a lesbian.
If only.
Yeah, I go on with this to say, like, I'm falling fast, and there's no sign of the ground, and no sign of anyone saving me, and then a couple of weeks later, I go, okay, much better now. I think I've misused the word love.
Oh.
Whatever I feel for him, it's very strong, and I still don't know what to do. It's hard enough just to walk up and talk to him without having a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
Girlfriend.
And this is where we know that she needed therapy.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm afraid to write what I really feel in these pages. Like, what if someone reads this, like, now?
Scandal.
Or if I look back years later and feel like an idiot.
Like, we love you, young Julia.
I just want to smack her on the head and just be like, put down the Diet Coke and go.
Go live your life. It's okay.
Oh, man.
Poor baby.
Poor baby. I don't know if I'm weird or intimidating, but no guy has ever shown real interest in me. Well, Denny, but I don't like him like that. But wouldn't it be nice if at least once for a guy would like to like me? Today, not so good. I went over my points today because I ate too much on accident.
Well, points like the Weight Watcher points?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's no such thing as eating on accident. You're eating because you're starving.
Yeah.
I am never going to lose weight because I love food too much. Oh, wow. This is just becoming an eating disorder podcast. Oh, and then the next day, don't you just hate PMS?
Yes.
Yeah.
I still do.
16-year-old girls are supposed to be driving her parents nuts with calls from boys and spending Friday nights making out with her boyfriend at the Glen.
What's the Glen?
It's our outdoor mall in Glenview in the white suburbs.
Making out with boys at the Glen. So all-American, Midwestern.
Oh my God. And getting serenaded to go to homecoming.
Oh, I know. No one ever asked me to a dance in high school. But joke's on you, motherfuckers. I glowed up after puberty. I'm hot now.
Oh my gosh. Was I just born to be unhappy or something? No, you're 15. Life, like... Oh, man.
Oh, baby.
Oh, I know. I need to start, like, highlighting these. I can't listen to happy love songs. They always remind me I'm single, which leads me to being upset, and then I feel like throwing a fold-up chair or something. Ooh, a little bit of anger management there. Ooh, that's fun. Today was weird. I was happy most of the day. I saw Ben. Oh, Ben was the next guy that I had a crush on.
Hey, Ben.
Mm-hmm. He was from church. I had an evil English test. There's no school tomorrow, and I'm getting together with Hallie. I'm not eating food tomorrow so as to experience hunger.
Pourquoi? Why?
I don't know. I don't know who she is.
We don't know her anymore. That's okay.
We don't. She doesn't go here. Why do I feel so hopeless? Like there's nothing going on to look forward to, like nothing really good is ever going to happen to me. Why can't I be happy with what I have? Because you're in high school and no one is happy during high school, and why didn't someone tell me that?
Yeah. Honestly, that was me like this year. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, honestly, like I hate to be that person, but it's also like, yeah, go try living during a pandemic. Go try being happy during a pandemic and tell me how that works out.
Oh boy.
I miss the hope I used to have with him. No, now we're back to liking Paul. We
Oh.
really are just friends who are too busy to talk to each other. I don't want it to be this way. I mean, can't we at least be good friends? It's just a stab in the heart when I remember that he really could care less about my feelings. Paul was a dick.
Was he?
No, he was a player.
You know,
he was just that guy that like everyone liked and like always had a girlfriend.
See, this is speaking to my soul because like I also had a bunch of like why don't boys like me thoughts, but I thought they were shameful, so I never verbalized any of them, and then I judged other people for having high school dating drama.
So the whole morning I was tired, depressed, hopeless over you know who. The whole morning I just prayed that I wouldn't see him. So then I'm dropping off my stuff in the orchestra room. I like to hang out there. So I was talking to my friend and he walks in, but it was okay. We talked a little and I left for gym. And then I was mad. I felt so upset thinking of him talking to other people, liking other girls, playing piano, and a million what it might have been situations. I was mad. Mad that he thinks I'm not worth it, not good enough or whatever. I was still mad in English class. And I had to stay after to talk to Mrs. Meyer, my teacher, still pissed, hating all that existed. Then I left and passed by Ben. And I don't know. It was okay. That was
so many things happened. Oh my god. I'm sorry, that one really got me. That one really, because it was just like, we were just like, he ignored me, and then I was mad about it, and I was still mad in English, and I was like, what's happening? And then Ben was there, and I was like, that read like a dream. Like, you know how when you're having a dream, and like there's a bunch of shit happening, but none of it connects, but it like makes sense in the moment.
Oh, this is good. See, at least I was aware of this. So I've just been on the roller coaster of the broken heart. 1 minute I'm never gonna be in love, and another I'm all, screw men. I have no idea where I am.
That's very real. That's still real, little Julia.
Yeah, all right. That's all I have today. I hope that you enjoyed it. We will
check in next time for diary corner, journal corner, whatever we're calling this segment.
I think we were calling it red flags for therapy.
Red flags for therapy.
Red flags for therapy.
That's good. I like that. It's a good segment name.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this has been a time.
Yeah. That was so like, you know, on the note of all of that depression, you know, now in our adulthood we've learned self-care. What was your self-care this week?
Oh, that's right. We do this thing. I was getting really anxious about like my house chores, my self-care routine. I put so many reminders on my phone to do things that I started getting overwhelmed and stopped doing them.
That's very real.
So I was like, okay, how do I stay organized at work? I use Google Sheets or Excel sheets. So why don't I just make myself a master home and self-care sheet? And then I can like reset it. I can like add on things and I can just clear it by the end of the day and start over the next day. And so I did my daily. I did a tab for daily, a tab for weekly, a tab for monthly things I need to do for myself and around the house, because I feel my best when I live in a clean, tidy space. It's just much better for my mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm really excited that I did it, and we'll see how long she keeps it up.
Good for you. See, I wish that I were a person who liked getting organized. I like it when shit's already organized, but like the idea of like actually going in and manually typing things into a spreadsheet every day, I'm like, that's not me and my life and my brain, unfortunately.
That's okay. That's okay.
But I mad respect to that. I love that. What was my self-care this week? What did I do?
What did you do?
I started going to circus again, and I freaking love circus.
That's awesome.
I love, like, I'm not like a vain person. I don't necessarily like work out because I'm like, I want to look a certain way, but like, I love feeling strong.
Yeah.
I love feeling like I could punch a bitch if I needed to.
Hell yeah.
Like, I'm into that. So it feels very nice to like work my arms out again, to like get my abs going again. So that was choice. That was very good.
I started doing a barbell class, and I can now lift my bike when I'm carrying it up and down the stairs. I would usually just like hover over it and just like grasp it and pray for dear life, but now I can actually like get under it and lift it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nice feeling. Who run the world? Squirrels. All right. Well, thanks so much for sharing this time with us.
Yeah, this has been a varied but like full of content kind of day. It's been our ADHD episode.
It is literally an ADHD episode.
Because we talked about we started with talking about ADHD, and then we ended up on eating disorders, diary entries, and like 2 feminist rants, the beauty industry. Like, we went everywhere, and you went on this journey with us, assuming you're still listening, and we thank you for that.
See, now I'm starting to understand why we plan our structure.
We usually do that. Today we didn't, and that's okay.
We were like, let's just see what happens if we start talking about ADHD. And
a lot of ADHD happened. I also, like, it's worse today for me because I'm having a bad ADHD day anyway, and also I haven't eaten yet. So
all right, I need to go feed her, everyone. So
I'm sorry.
You know what they say, stay safe
and stay sane.
And see you next week. No, that's not what we say.
Same time.
Same time.
Next week.